Welcome to the Inside Britball podcast. Myself and Nick tonight are talking and kicking off the first podcast for the 2026 NFFL season. Do we have to say powered by Union Jack Classic National Leagues?
I think that's a mandatory obligation.
Right.
Yeah. I think if you don't say that, then you don't get socialized. So,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
So we are powered. We are powered and empowered by Union Jacks. Thank you very much. Make it happen.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Don't cut us. Compliant, not complicit. Let's go.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So tonight we are, because I'm conscious that we haven't discussed the alignments yet. So we've been obviously heavily focused on the WFFL, which was a great season, but now we turn our eyes to the NFFL. We've got the alignments to discuss, we've got the playoffs to discuss, and the changes there. So I'll be getting your thoughts on that later, Nick, which I'm sure will be interesting. And then we have got, I was going to swear then, I won't. We have got a lot of results to talk through.
A large ton.
Yeah, a large ton. I say that tongue in cheek because there isn't that many, of which will become clear if you don't already know. I'm assuming those that follow flag football are fully aware that I'm being a little bit sarcastic. Let's say that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go for it. Just go for it. I mean, like, this is the sweet spot. People are tuned in. They're like, "Where's this podcast going to go? Come on, let's pull the gloves off in early." Yeah,
I'm going to be honest with. I have no doubt in my head that we will go off the rails on this one, and the reason we have to be mindful, obviously, we have to be professional, we have to be objective, and that's exactly what we'll do. That doesn't mean to say we can't give our opinions.
That's why I say compliant, not complicit. Exactly. We will comply, but I when you get to situation, is it too early to? Shall we wait? Shall I wait? Shall I suppress talking about game day one?
No, so let's go. Well, don't talk about game day one just
right. Okay.
No,
okay.
Let's wait. Let's build that tension first. Let's allow you to get a little bit wound up by talking about pretty much the off season, the delays, and the issues.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm going to be clear. It's not just been for the NFFL. It's been, and we talked about it. I think we touched upon it on another podcast that we recorded where it's been a bit of a mess, and it's been a bit of a mess across all divisions or all formats, etc. Everything's been really, really late. So it's not helped. It doesn't help the teams and the clubs for planning, etc. But we are when we first saw sight of the fixtures, or at least the game day fixtures, we were talking January. I can't remember when we first saw sight of the alignments, but I think we all pretty much knew, didn't we? Because that was communicated quite
except for the Lancashire Buccaneers. Like, we all knew, except for the Lancashire Buccaneers, who were not aware. Hence the curveball.
Yes.
The curveball number one. This was version one of and I think last time we checked, fixture version 9 was released the other day. So this was curveball 1 of 9. It's going to be a very long podcast. Let's go. Yeah. So that was mid-January. That was the Groundhog Day 1. Let's just call it Groundhog Day 1. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
then we have teams moving up and to try and make the numbers up when they didn't need to make the numbers up, which has compounded Groundhog Day number 1.
Indeed. And also upset just about every single club anywhere around the border region or above, who then collectively got together and had a large huff at one point in a letter to BAFA. All of the first time you've ever seen them all united. Usually the clans fight in the north, but on this occasion they were all quite together in their feedback, very together in their formal letter feedback. Yeah. So that was Big Groundhog Day 2 came, which was Anyway, like we're ripping off the past this year. This is a spoiler. Stay tuned to the show as we peel our way through the layers of this onion that is the beautiful thing called the British game.
So I'm going to could be led back now. You can tell I'm relaxed. I'm in the flow. Assuming you can still hear me, okay, that's fine. But I'm going to kickstart with, I think, the easy one, and that is the alignments for the national. So let's just be clear on this. There are now 3 tiers in the NFFL flag football pyramid. That is a national conference, a Prem or national division. We'll call them division because we've got conferences within divisions. I always get them mixed up. We've got a Premier division.
Yes.
And then we've got a Division 1. Why I struggled in terms of the naming of that when it's obviously
because your brain wants to call them the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's kind of maybe where we're. And I'm not saying in terms of the teams. I'm not saying in terms of the organisation. I just mean the beautiful cocktail that it has become over the last few months. But yeah, so this is the good, and this is really straightforward, and this was the first ones out of the block. And this is great because it's obviously the top level of the game. So you want to see that locked in. You want to see, that's good. So let's start with the good.
I'm just a bit worried about the good, the bad, and the ugly, like analogy or naming, only because my former team are in the ugly. And I mean, I'm not a pretty boy, granted, but I wouldn't.
It doesn't have to be chronological. It doesn't. I mean, the beautiful thing about doing a podcast is that we. I mean, if we want to use the Donald Trump rule, we can just bend this to any direction we want. We could make this the bad and the ugly later on if you want. Everyone's a winner on this podcast. Every team's a winner. Yeah,
that's what the title of tonight's pod is going to be: the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Beautiful.
Right, let's crack on. So Northern alignment. So the Northern Division, we have 2 conferences, a North and a South. Very straightforward. We won't talk about the playoff structure yet. We'll get to that once we've discussed this alignment. So we'll kind of talk about the playoffs once we've finished each division. So obviously we're in the National Division, and that comprises of Aberdeen Oilcats, for those of you that are listening and not watching on our YouTube channel. If you are listening, I highly advise going back and watching.
And have a drink with a heck of a lot better.
Yeah,
heavy drink.
Yeah, definitely. And then we'll be in the good, then not the ugly.
Sorry.
Exactly. So Aberdeen Oilcats, Edinburgh Outlaws, Glasgow Hornets, Grangemouth Broncos, Manchester Crows, Manchester Titans in the north. Then we have South, Cardiff Hurricanes, Cheltenham Neptunes, Chichester Sharks, London Fire, London Smoke, and Reading Devils. I don't know about you, but that South, I just like to see that South where it's just not all London teams. It actually looks like a geographically spread conference.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think you've got, so let's start with extremities here. You get Cardiff on one side, you've got Aberdeen up on the other, okay? Interesting away days. I mean, very, very interesting away days. Let's see how those pan out this year, because I think they'll be they couldn't even be the clinchers of the swingers in terms of when you get to those kind of fixtures, those long range ones, and a full squad doesn't travel and something goes wrong on the road, and let's see how they pan out. But I think there's some beautiful things here. Are we going to get another great year where we see the Titans and the Crows having a real go at each other and seeing how that Manchester derby pans out? I think so. Hornets, are the Hornets going to be as dominant as they were, or is the gap closing a little bit as a fantastic team gradually gets just that little bit older, and then you've got other teams with younger players coming through? That could become an accordion effect. You've got obviously stiff challenge to Grangemouth. It's such a huge club now. I mean, we see it with the Mustangs and the Colts as well, the depth they've got, the sheer amount of bodies. And then obviously Edinburgh and Aberdeen. Excellent teams. I mean, I think the North can be really tasty. And I think it could be an away day catching a team that's coming all the way up the M6 to, the very top of Mondor to kind of, that could be, or vice versa. That could be it. That has a decisive win or loss in the day that really upsets the tables. I think ultimately on paper, I'm going to go with the Hornets because I think they know how to win. You know, a lot of GB talent there. And also, heaven forbid, they are the more central of all the teams, so they probably have the best travelling distances in all directions. Possibly, I'd like to see that on paper. You know, what do you think of the South, mate? Or stick north. Let's do north.
I mean, I think from the North perspective, I think, I do wonder, and it's probably worth me touching base with them at some point, but seeing how the two Manchester teams thought about that alignment. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a national league. You know, if it's a national division and it's a national league, most would have to travel the length and breadth of the country. So the fact that they have got it split into North and South, I think probably will sit a little bit easier with them. But it's still quite a bit of travelling for them to do. In terms of the South, again, as I mentioned, I think it's just good to be a bit more geographically spread. I mean, you've obviously got Cardiff to the west. Cheltenham, I would say probably, they're the more northern team, I think. Am I right there?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Shoot me if I'm not wrong, but that's to London, that's Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if I'm right in this. I mean, I've been to Cheltenham many times, but I still don't know whether it's near the Cotswolds. That's where I have it in my head. I don't know if that's right or not. So correct me if I'm wrong, listeners. Chichester Sharks, South Coast, pretty straightforward. You used to have to go there for work, pain in the backside to get to from the north. And then you've got London Fire, London Smoke, and then the Reading Devils somewhere in the middle. So I'd say, it's pretty good geographically spread. What do you think in terms of the teams and the quality of the teams? Obviously, you've got Hurricanes, who and London Smoke, who always do well. Reading Devils are not too shabby. And even Cheltenham Neptunes did okay last year, I think, if I remember right.
Well, that's your top two, you're right. So I've got the benefit of just off screen here. I've got the finishing positions. No, but that's only from a cheat, and that's because you're a professional. Anyone who listens to this podcast will be aware of that. But yeah, Hurricane Neptunes, good, very good. Interesting. I think Neptunes had a friendly game day against Leicester Huntsmen last weekend. And I had a scout there on that one. Still waiting to get my report back. But I think there's stuff to certainly be to watch for there. And then you've got Reading, who were hot on the heels of Smoke, excusing the pun, at the end of last year. And then in the mix, what else you've got is two teams you wouldn't go sleeping on either. So, I mean, maybe Chichester Sharks in finishing positions possibly kind of find it tougher. And as I say, we want to appeal to every team at this point in the season because you want everyone to listen to your podcast. So let's take a positive. But they're in there. They've qualified. They're in the battle. It's going to be a difficult year for them, though. No doubt about it. I mean, that South is pretty good. London team's good. Red teams are good. You'll get some great game days because the weather isn't like we saw to give away a little bit of the Division 1 opener. It's highly unlikely. Spoiler alert. But still, I think it's a harder one to call. If somebody was to say to you right now, Arran, who do you have from the north and who do you have from the south? I think from the north, you'd be hard pushed not to take the Hornets straight away as a favourite, given their dominant position as national champions. South, yeah, sure, you've got London close by, because that's again a lot of GB talent there. But it's quite compacted. It's quite a compacted conference, that one, I think.
It is. I think between. I agree with you in the north. I think for the Southern National, I think if I am putting my proverbials on the line, then or on the chopping block, I would. Yeah, exactly. It will be between Smoke and Hurricanes, which I don't think will probably surprise anyone because they both of them have been a tour de force for years, haven't they? But if you held a gun to my head or raised that brick ready for the proverbials, I would probably say Hurricanes. That's where
That's a great shout. I mean, you did distract me for a minute because you talked about your proverbials being cut off in a block and then used a brick. And I was thinking, cut off with a brick would be particularly painful. But yeah, I think that's a shout. That's a strong shout. I mean, London, let's be fair. I mean, they went the hell run last year, undefeated. But were they being tested as much? I don't know. Yeah, I like that. No, I like that. I think that's quite a call.
And I'm going to full disclaimer. All my predictions have been absolutely horrendous. They've been way off, by the way. Whenever I've done them, maybe not last year for the WFL, but I think certainly if you ask people that close to me and were in and around me when we were doing the GB teams were in the Euros and the Worlds, and if you ask me what my predictions are like, they are typically horrific. So whoever I say, I would go for the opposite. However, I just have a feeling about Hurricanes this year, and I have a feeling for the Hurricanes for the whole national title. So I'm going to put it out now,
mate. That's a call. If you are going for that call right now, we can play this one back the second weekend in September. That would be great. Yep. If we just put an eye to the north, now there was some interesting games in Winter League. Thriving New Year, where you saw some of these teams. You got an opportunity to see Neptunes and the Titans having a ding dong. That was a great game. Oh, that was a great game. I got to ref that game, and that was one of those games where both teams were just locked in. Nobody was even fighting with the ref. They were just so locked into the game. It was just locked in. Great game of football. I thought both teams looked really dangerous and really hungry. I don't, if I think about that, maybe we are going to see a seismic change in the world order this year. Maybe things are changing. Maybe, some of these clubs that have been dominating for a long time might be pushed a little bit more. They might still leak it. Still think the Hornets might still leak it, but they might be run close by teams like the Titans, who, let's be fair, we saw that game at the finals. In the Prem last year, the semi-final game, I think it was. We saw it turn into a real match. Where they just slept on a little bit, and then all of a sudden it was a bit of a wake-up call. I think a team gets that in their teeth. They come back wanting something. They come back wanting something, and I think the WFFL showed us that this year, didn't it? With EKP Black coming back with a bit in their teeth, with something to prove. A little bit of a grudge there to make sure they pushed Flame out of the way and got on with it. I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't sleep on the Titans. And whoever will the Titans do, sorry, go on. No, go on. Go on. I'm just talking.
All I was going to say is I agree with the Titans. Don't sleep on them. I think they'll be a dark horse. I'm not quite sure they'll take the title, but
No, I think they'll cause trouble, though. And however well the Titans do, traditionally the Crows come with them. It's almost like Manchester pre-decides its bar, and then both teams kind of go to that level. They both have a really bad year, they both have a really good year, but they kind of set that bar because of that intense rivalry between the two of them. It's a healthy rivalry, but it's always been there. I mean, I can remember that's always been, So I think if Titans go, Crows go, suddenly we get pressure. Then you get Aberdeen and Edinburgh, very, very good teams last year. If they start stepping up, all of a sudden, Broncos just struggled a little bit compared to those teams last year. Suddenly there's that squeeze. The Hornets are suddenly the pressure's coming in from teams to the east of you and teams to the south of you. And North could get salty. They could get very salty. South, you're right, I think you're looking at maybe a clearer cut race there between two major teams. I like the Hurricane shout. I really do like that. I think that could be I think it could be proven to be very wise at the end of the year.
I hope so. We'll definitely save the recording. And then delete it if I'm wrong.
Just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it, mate. Yeah. Just stop it. Put AI in like that. Oh yeah. London Smoke. Absolutely great. They're gonna do it. It's just like history rewritten. Move on. Yeah.
So with that in mind then, I want you to put your proverbials on the block now. Who are you going to say for the national? So overall, who's your money on? Mm-hmm. Early days, of course. We're not playing the game yet.
Okay. Certain assumptions. Where's the finals going to be? Is it going to be right up north again?
No, it's Butts Park. It's Butts Park Arena this year.
Okay.
Coventry.
Yeah. So that could change things a little bit, because you do see teams in the south kind of they peter out as the day goes on. Okay, not all of them stay over.
It's probably a good segue, actually. So the national division, the top 4 teams, so top 2 of each conference, will go to Butts Park and play in finals, in a final showdown. So I'm not entirely sure. Oh, it's a hotel stay. Yeah. I mean, I'm an hour and a bit drive away, an hour and a half, I think, something like that from Butts Park, and even I stay over, right? Because it's a long day as well. So I think it's, and there's all. I don't know if you've ever been to Butts Park Arena.
Traffic around there is just
it's not too, but it's not too bad. It's right in the city centre, but you actually you get to it from the outskirts, I guess as you do everywhere when you're going into a city centre, but you kind of sneak in around the side, so it's not too bad. And there is a hotel right next door to it, a travel lodge. I think it's a travel lodge or a Premier Inn. We're not being paid by either, by the way, so we're not plugging them.
Well, the good thing about travel lodge apparently is if you don't like your room, you can get the key to somebody else's. If we're staying topical with the news right then,
let's
that's a joke. That's a joke. That's the personal opinion and not a reflection on this podcast. Nor did I ask anyone to book any hotels. We didn't say that.
We'll end up being sued by a travel lodge.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. Actually, do you know what? I think they're a wonderful company, and I think I'll go to my Union Jacks thing there. Like, where would we be without the wonderful thing that's travel lodge? Many a time have I stayed at that travel lodge in Leicester to go to Football America, because that's a drive if you live all the way up here.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to put my proverbials.
You can't plug Football America either when we're EP Sport, when we're sponsored by.
I'm going back in the day, mate. I'm going back to like the day. Like, I mean, I've been around this game for 37 years. Now on 40 years. There was a time before that where there was only one place you could go, and you used to have to drive ridiculously, or order it from America, and like wait for a lifetime for it to arrive, and it would be the wrong size. So yeah, I was like, no, listen, mate, I tell you, 1985, right? 1985. The first time I was disappointed was an American football purchase that got shipped in from America. Yeah. Detroit Lions shirt. Was it heck? Got a Chicago Bears one. Got a small.
Do you want me to make you feel really bad? I was 4 years old then.
That just made me feel really, really bad, actually. Okay. Right. All right. Well, let's move on.
Back to the playoffs.
Yes.
So, top 2 teams of each conference, therefore the top 4 teams overall will battle it out. I'm assuming it will be a Northern 1 seed versus Southern 2 seed and vice versa. I'm assuming. And then obviously they'll battle that out for a final. So, yeah, I'm not going to try and predict where it'll go. I've already staked my claim as to where it is. So I'll let you tell us your claim.
I am going to go north really, really predictably. I think the Hornets are going to be in the. If we get to pick the top 2, then it doesn't matter if I get this right or wrong by position, but I think the Hornets will be in that top 2. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah, I think there's maybe
hedge your bets.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in the top 6 teams in the North, the Hornets will definitely be there. I'll put money on it right now. I'll tell you, you can play this back at the end of the season. I think the Hornets will be, I hate myself for saying this, number 1 team. I hate myself for saying that. Because I think it goes against the grain of what I've just said a minute ago, but I think they've still got something old in there for it. I think they've still got it. Mac is a great player. He's going to be playing again in defense. Julie is a great player in offense. We've got talent all over the place. Nicky, when he gets loose, this. Yeah. But my old mates in Manchester, I think the Titans are going to have a really good year. I think they're going to have a really good year. I'll tell you more about it. They will get friendly against them on the 12th of April. We'll jump back in the podcast. rewrite this part of history if I'm wrong. And I'm not going to even hazard a guess in this house because I want to go with your Cardiff Hurricanes. I don't want to go controversially, or should I say, far from controversially, blatantly, obviously, and say London. So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to stand with you on this one. I'm going to say, come on, let's get behind the Hurricanes. Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll fall from grace together then. So
considerably.
Right. Let's move on. We've now got the middle tier, which is the Premiership division. So we have 4 conferences. So we have 2 North and 2 South. And I'm going to have to read through them. I can't wait till we get to Division 1, but I'm going to have to read through them for those that are listening. So in the Northern Premiership A conference, we have Border City Centurions Black, an unfamiliar team to us, I think, then. Grangemouth Mustangs, Newcastle Blackhawks, Renfrewshire Raptors, and West Lothian Chargers. In the Northern B, we have, strangely, and we can come back to this, Leicester Huntsmen, Manchester Titans Bees, Salford Scorpions, Sheffield Giants Steel, Warrington Revolution, West Lancashire Serpents. Again, we will come back to that. And Wigan Bandits. Southern Premiership A, Chichester Tiger Sharks, London Rebels, London Spark, Norwich Nomads, Reading Diablos, Victoria Park Panthers. And then Southern Premiership B, we have Buckinghamshire Wolves. I always mess that up when I say that, so I said it like that on purpose. Cardiff Storm, Coventry Panthers, Coventry Phoenix, Northants, Titans Blue, and the Swansea Hammerheads. So let's kick off. I think I think a lot of the talk, if we're honest, is going to be around that Northern Premiership B. Would you say?
Yeah, I've got some views on it, and it's certainly not pointing to any team. I think if you can't see this, obviously, if you're the listener here, what we're looking at is what was designed to be 4 groups of 6 teams each, and then what panned out to be 2 groups of 6, 1 of 7, and 1 of 5, due to a team pulling out of the 5. And another team being invited in as the next closest, and which is right, I understand that. That's, but then ending up somehow in a lopsided division that then had 7 in it because of travelling or whatever. And now we have this kind of really ugly kind of set of fixtures that still, at time of recording, have not been locked down. A disgruntled Northern, or called originally Island, that's a different thing. None of those teams are in the Islands.
Go there with
let's not go there. Let's just because then we're going to have to call them. We'd have to call it Highlands, Brecon Beacons, like Normandy, and that's whatever. But so then you've got like this dynamic with that North A group, who are the Scottish teams predominantly, and the 2 teams in the Borders, who have kind of formed a kind of consolidated position about being somewhat disgruntled with the way the fixtures have panned out and contacted the league subsequently, which we won't get into. But just for the viewer or the listener who's not watching this, that's what this means now. So if we maybe go to that paper 7 first of all, messy fixtures. Okay, aside from that, for me personally, okay, and I know these teams really well. I know these teams really, really well. Huntsmen are they start. They're not in the north, So we'll come back to that point in a sec. But they are the pedigree shout in that. Without a doubt. Okay, we played them on finals day last year. They went on to win the thing. Had we have not lost that game to them, and I'm going to say that very humbly, I'm not going to poke that bear again. Had we have not lost that game to them, we would have won it, I think. So I think the Huntsmen are excellent. If their form hasn't dipped in any way, they're excellent. They're a team on the trajectory to get to the Nationals. They're the team to beat. That's it. I think the Northern A, much more competitive. Go on, what do you think? Before I go on to that one, what do you think of Northern B, first of all?
I was going to ask you a question since you've got it in front of you. probably should have done my research on this, but where did Wigan Bandits and Salford Scorpions finish last year?
So I think they were 10 teams that dropped down, if I'm not incorrect. So
you'd be forgiven for thinking that you keep your eyes on them definitely in that entrance.
Yeah, I think that's sufficient. Yeah, you've got Wigan and Salford come down, as to Sheffield, I think, who slotted in somewhere else. Yeah, so you've got them as the come down teams. Yeah. But momentum, football's momentum. You know, if you've got a team that's flying up like the Huntsmen and a team that's tumbling down, you go with the team that's on the up. You just it's momentum, you know. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. Yeah, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but you know, winners just win. They just win. They just keep winning. They just keep finding ways. And I think the Huntsmen I think they have that about them. It is, and that was unfair of me maybe to say, because you've got 3 Prem teams in there. Well, our former Prem teams, let's give them some respect. And also the Bees train with a really good organisation. Serpent's in there, and Warrington. I still think Huntsmen. You know, for the listener, we're talking Leicestershire, Huntsmen, Titans, Bees. I think you did this before, didn't you?
Yeah.
Huntsmen. For me, Huntsmen. For me, that's Huntsmen win that one. I think they won out, in all honesty.
Okay, fair. Premiership A. What my thoughts?
That's great. It's great. We're all mates as well because of what's happened this year. We've got a really nice chat going on.
Has it?
We've got a lovely chat going on. We've never got along with our actors so well, and all of a sudden it's all like mates and high fives and all this. I mean, it's brought a real sense of unity. So it's great. Newcastle, they're a good team. I mean, they Winter League. They went to the wire with Top Gun. Top Gun is the team that's predominantly the Hornets with some friends. But Newcastle were right on them the whole way in the Winter League. So that's a good team. That's a very good team. They're a team who maybe had a rough year last year, bumped down out of the Prem, licked their wounds, picked themselves up, looking to try and get back up there again. There's no doubt about it. Grangerouth Mustangs. Again, we talk about, excuse the pun, the stable. With the Broncos, the Mustangs, the Colts. They've got a lot of bodies, though. They've got a lot of bodies. They've got a lot of bodies. And I think Mustangs will benefit from that. I think they've got a good team there. So that's another really good team. They play great football as well. Really genuinely exciting football. I love the plays that they do. Everything I've scouted about them is interesting. The Raptors, absolute battlers. You don't sleep on them at all. They love a long ball on first down. Absolutely love a long ball on first down. If you're not 3 high on first down, they're going over the top. First play, every game. Sorry, straight out. This the most predictable game in football. Them and the Distillers just level up first down the first game, but go for a stop. West Lothian Chargers, excellent team, Nolan the guys. And they might find it pretty tough going, I'd say. I don't know, because they've split into 2 teams this year with the Astros and them. They certainly have 10 very good players. So the North, Premiership A, and my team in there as well, man. That's a good division. Those games, I think everyone can beat everyone in that division on the right day. I think everyone can. And I think that's going to be really, really salty. If we decide to be facetious and all fix the results against each other so that we all finish in the same points just to mess up back as some sort of a grudge match, that has been discussed.
Don't listen. Any teams thinking on doing that, don't, because one of you will crumble and then you'll all look at each other.
That's not going to happen. That's a joke. That's a complete joke. Right, so North, go on.
But I think you're right. I think it's going to be very close, definitely. It's an interesting conference, definitely.
But it is an interesting one.
Yeah. I think in terms of the South, the Southern Premiership A, read it out early, so I won't do it again. But essentially, this is one with the London and Norwich and Reading, so all that kind of location in and around the southeast, ultimately, south or east, should I say? Because Norwich and co are there. So I think, I don't know, ones to watch on here. I think obviously Spark came down, but they had a tough season. They did. Diablos. Obviously the
Chichester Tigers. Chichester Tigers. I can't say that. You can't say Buckinghamshire. I can't say Chichester. They made quarterfinals. Did one. They're decent. Rebels are decent. Spark are great. Nomads have got a fantastic offense. I mean, they put up now on, I think it was 800 points in the regular season last year. They gave up less than 200. So very, very, very good team. Strong defense. They know how to stop your drives. I'd watch out for them. And then you put into the mix Tilbury Park Panthers.
I was just going to say that.
Class.
I was just going to say that because you'd be forgiven for thinking they were hard done to a couple of seasons ago when one team came back. I can't remember who it was. Was it Rebels? Was it Rebels came back?
I think it was. Yeah.
So I think, there might be a grudge. I don't know if they've played each other since. I can't remember. Last year was a blur. There was that many fixtures, but. Yeah, on that one, I think Victoria Park Panthers would be my favourites. I won't put them in terms of the title because I'm going to be honest here. I have no idea. I have no idea who's going to take it away. So
BPP are good. The BPP are very good, and they normally get to finals day, and then they're missing a few players because it's normally right up north in Manchester, and you get to finals day, and there's always a couple who didn't quite make it. We've had them a few times in finals days. I think in the 3 years that we've been running and in the finals, by the grace of the Lord, we've always played them, and it's always been like, oh, you're kidding me, not VPG again. They're all about 6'10". Gigantic. They're like.
So I will get on to the playoffs because it was a nice little segue, but hold that thought segue.
Right, okay, sorry, I bought
Southern bit of a snail. Southern B, that is your Buckinghamshire. There we go. I messed it up. Second time round, messed it up.
Bucks
Wolves. Yeah. Cardiff Storm, which is Hurricanes B team.
Brilliant.
If I'm correct. Coventry Panthers, who are a good outfit. Coventry Phoenix, also a good outfit. Northants Titans, blue, they're a good outfit. And then Swansea Hammerhead, who have been, when you talk about momentum, etc., I think Swansea Hammerheads are probably the team that have been carrying a lot of momentum out of that conference, albeit slightly tempered last year, I would say, but that's naturally going to happen as you move up. So they're probably in a good level where they're at, albeit I think I saw, well, I don't think I know I saw Swansea Hammerheads, their key player, I'm not going to say best because I don't know if he is their best, but a key player of theirs has moved to Reading Devils.
I mean, look at the way you mean as well.
Harley
yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh my days. That's an interesting.
That's a big change. Big change. And I believe insider knowledge, I believe it's just down to relocation for
okay.
I don't think there's anything behind it. So we can't create a storm in a teacup, sadly.
So if you wanted to do that, we could have gone back to the Nationals because there's a Manchester Crows player who's playing for the Hornets this year. And you think to yourself, right. How would you make training, mate? I mean, seriously, is that so the GB defense can stick together? It's just like, come on.
Like, I get really controversial with that, trust me. But
let's not go there then. But but that's just a little bit like a really. Okay.
So what are your thoughts on this conference then?
Love Cardiff Storm. I think Cardiff Storm. We talked about Cardiff in the last one, so I won't go over them too much. But they last year in Div 1 were absolutely the team to beat right up until the last game day. And I don't know what happened. They were undefeated. They were nailed on overall number one seed, and then just like out of nowhere, implosion in the last game day. We snuck through, got the number one seed as a bye result. Not through we worked hard for it, but those guys, they were they were set the tempo all year. So a lot of respect for them. Huge respect. Yeah. Swansea Hammerheads, brilliant team. I mean, there's going to be a change. Let's see how they cope with that. Cope with that. I don't know how they'll do it. I mean, we once played them in the finals day, and we wanted to force them to take a timeout Now, we've got a player called Dom Lewis who's a wide receiver. Absolutely terrible defender. I love it, bits. Please don't watch this podcast on. But he's such a good receiver. He's like GB quality receiver, no doubt about it. I mean, it's just literally one of the most talented players in the game. Never gets a call off, probably because of his age. I don't know, whatever. But we wanted to force him to take a time out, so we just threw him on. And defense for second just got him to line up and press man cover against said wide receiver. And immediately they just went, oh, time out, like that. We're just like, yes, use the last time out. We weren't even going to play it. We were just going to call him back off the bench again. But that tells you a lot, though, because that was a bit of a tell in terms of you've got a formula here and you don't like it when people mess with your formula. And are they going to be, do they have the capacity to be able to grow enough in other ways to complete their game? I don't know. Cardiff.
Let's see.
Cardiff. Fox Wolves are good. Yeah.
I think it's a tough conference all round. I think it's a real tough conference. But so my show notes, I rushed some show notes, but I believe the playoff structure for this is that the top 8 teams in each region, so we'll go to a semi-finals. So I think you will get 2 from Northern A, 2 from Northern B, 2 from Southern A, and 2 from Southern B, who will play a pretty much semi-finals between themselves. And then I think the top 4 of that little mini tournament, semi-final tournament, will then go through to finals at Butts Park in Coventry. So going back to your point, VPP, we've only got, an hour, 2 hours up the, where would it be? M1.
Yeah. So that could show you a different team. That could show you a different team, or just 1 or 2 personnel gaps that get filled. That things change. Things change when it suddenly isn't all benefiting the northern teams, and comes out a little bit further south. It's an interesting one. I do like the idea of the top 2 from each group going through, because I think with that disbalanced North A and North B, getting into percentile fractions between the two and having that to me would just be messy, because it means if you lose a game in one, it's significantly more damaging than losing a game in another. And that, if that's the tipping point, folk will come back to this point in time and they'll say that was wrong. That was just it's very whatever. Yeah.
So in the interest of time, we still got the biggest conference or biggest division to talk through, where we've got no less than 7 conferences. Plus, then we had some games. So we might have to, for our listeners, to keep them switched on, listeners and watchers, we might have to just do a bit of a whirlwind here, because I don't think we'll be able to get through all, but I will try my best. So, Division 1. And
I love the way we avoided picking our 2 favourites. I love the way we avoided that, because I was, oh man, that's great. No, that you just saved me a roasting. Thank you.
I wouldn't know where to start, if I'm honest. I think there's so many good teams in that Premiership division. I think
Huntsmen are going to the semi-finals. I will say that now. I will say that categorically. Of all those teams in that group, Huntsmen are going to the semi-finals. Question is, who's going to beat them? That's it. That's all I'm going to say for Brian. Okay?
Right. Okay. Then I'll counter it then. And I'll say Victoria Park Panthers.
That's good. Can we just go with that? Can we just say out of that whole lot, there's 2 teams that should book their travel lodge, because it's an excellent brand. And we want to keep them happy. Yeah. All right, fine. Let's move on. Division 1. Gosh.
Division 1, right. So we are going to have to really, really rattle through these. So I will try and say them as much as I can for those that are listening. So 4 conferences in the northern side of the division. So we've got Division 1 Highlands. So Aberdeen Silvercats, Edinburgh Gunslingers Blue, Edinburgh Gunslingers Red, Glasgow Killer Bees, Grangemouth Colts, Moray Distillers, West Lothian Astros. Before we move on, are we okay with the Highlands? No?
Yeah, I think that pronunciation was really good. I just wish there was a Buckinghamshire in there somewhere, mate. Yeah. Highlands is great. Highlands are great. Great teams, great football, terrible weather.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. That's fair. Division 1, Northern A, Border City Centurions Gold. Now, I like what you've done here with the black and gold, Nick. We've got to touch on this because you'd be forgiven for putting gold as your primary team, your senior team, however you want. I don't want to call them A and B because not everyone has A and B teams. They have teams that, because they've just got so many players and they wouldn't classify them as that. I'll not draw you into how you classify it. Don't worry. I'll not put you on that spot.
No, but that's fine. You're as strong as your weakest link. Gold are the most important team we have. Black are our high-performing team, but gold are the most important team that we have. They are who we are. They're our DNA. So therefore, they deserve to be called gold. That's that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Then we have Lancashire. Sorry, I nearly said Lancaster because of the uni team, but
always.
That's hence my stumble. Lancashire Bombers. I'm going to try and be. I might live in Cheshire, but I'm from Lancashire, so yeah, my favourite team so far. Manchester Ravens, Manchester Titans Tridents, Salford Scorpions Stingers, and Wirral Vikings. So that's the Division 1 Northern A. Some good teams there. I think it will be. I think that it'll be quite tight between them all. If I'm honest, I think you'll see some. I think you'll see them beat each other left, right, and centre, and not necessarily a standout. That's my prediction. So
I have a team. I have a team in there. I have a team in there. Lancashire Bombers. Lancashire Bombers. Okay. I will shout that from the rooftops. They have worked so hard for so long, and they've done such great work with those young players coming through, that if they do not win Northern 1 Division 8, they'll be furious at themselves. They will be furious. They prove, yeah.
So they're your top tip to watch in that conference, then?
Oh, undoubtedly. That's the future of British American football. There, you've got just about the entire under 17 team. That is the future of the game in that one club. Yeah, they're going to be great. Okay. They're going to be fantastic. Right. Yeah.
Good. Division 1 Northern B. Calderdale Locomotives, Calderdale Iron Horses, Newcastle Shadowhawks, Steel Rivers. Is that Steel Rivers or should it be Steel River? We might have a type.
Steel River Stingray.
Yeah, Stingrays. Teesside Thunder, West Yorkshire Warthogs. So beside the obvious there, in the 4 teams that are all probably within 10 minutes drive of each other. In I think the Calderdale Iron Horses, they are the second team to the Locomotives.
Of course, that's
good.
Yeah,
showing good growth there. West Yorkshire Warthogs, are they Huddersfield?
Essentially, but they were all one club back in the day. Calderdale and West York. So that's a mitosis, if you will. So that's a breakup between mum and dad, and then one of them's gone off and had a family elsewhere, and now you've got this really. But they're all mates. They're all mates. It's really weird, but they're proper great clubs, brilliant clubs. That division is going to be a lot of fun. Their game days are going to be a good laugh. There'll be good sportsmanship. There'll be great camaraderie. I think Warthogs are the pedigree team on paper, but we'll wait and see what happens. Because that's a great division. If you want to have fun, if you just want to go back to enjoying flag football, go one of their game days, because that is going to be a lot of good sportsmanship, and sport will be the real winner in that division. Okay. The only winner will be sport.
Cool. And then we've got Huddersfield Corsairs. Am I saying that right? Is that?
Yeah. That's really good fun.
I feel like I should put on a really posh accent, even though it's Huddersfield. Excuse me. But I do think I should put on a posh accent to say that word.
You're showing your Lancashire side there. You're like that, even though it's Huddersfield. What do you mean, even though it's Huddersfield? I believe Huddersfield has one house that's over the value of £30,000. Technically. Hey, sorry, Huddersfield. I like Huddersfield. I used to stop there every day on the train back from Leeds to Manchester when I used to work over there. Huddersfield's got a great pub at the train station. So if you're travelling to that game, if anyone's travelling that game, don't drive. Take the train to Huddersfield. Stop at the pub at the station on the way back. Huddersfield's great. Yeah, love Huddersfield.
I've only ever driven through it. Quickly. as a Lancastrian saying that. Moving on swiftly before I get myself lynched. Longhorns black, Longhorns oranges. I'm assuming orange again. Typo. I'll pick this up with Stuart. Although I've got to be careful. I did make him do it at the last minute. So thanks, Stuart. Shout out to Stuart who does our graphics. And then South Yorkshire Roosters, and then Stockport Sentinels. Interesting. So it's an interesting conference, this one, I think. And I'm going to be honest, I can only really see maybe South Yorkshire Roosters and Longhorns, whichever one is their primary team.
Yeah, I always get that.
I can see them doing well. Obviously, Sheffield Giants, Iron as well. I can see them.
Yeah,
well. But
Stockport's a new team, so we'll give them the grace. Equally to our Teesside Thunder, and these are brand new teams, so I think they'll be shaping things up this year, and we'd love to see them do well. But I think that give it time. I think you're right. I think you're bang on. I think Longhorns are a great organisation overall. So I think that will prevail, and I think the Roosters, they're wiry. I think they'll find a way. I think they're the two teams. For me, I'm with you. I think they're the two teams that will probably prevail from there. Huddersfield's a new team as well, to be fair as well. That's great. Yeah.
What is a Corsair?
I know. I did. Do you want me to Google it?
Hold on. I'll do it.
Right, we'll do a Google race. What is a Corsair? Siri, what is a Corsair? And it says a courier is a person. How long is that courier? You've got to do better than that. Siri's rubbish. Sorry, not branding. Please don't. This is exciting. For the listener, I can imagine. This
Pirate or privateer?
Oh, the Huddersfield Pirates. Oh, I like that. Yes. Oh, that's a bit
so close to the canal.
Well, I like that. That's why you said you never stopped when you're driving through there. It's full of pirates. Where are you from? Huddersfield, West Yorkshire.
Right next to the sea. Anyway, let's not mock. Good luck to them, is what I said. Good luck to them. Fair enough.
Quiet.
Right, moving on. We'll get to the playoffs once we've spoken about the other half of the conferences.
Oh, gosh.
So moving on.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm saying for time. So we've now got... So on the other side of the conferences, we've got Division 1 Midlands. And in there we have Coventry Panthers B, Leicester Huntsmen B, Nottingham Bears, my wife's favourite team, Nottingham Honey Badgers, just because of the name.
Yeah, great.
Nuneaton Jaguars and Waveney Wolves. Just quickly going back to Honey Badgers, I'm pretty sure she was after some merch, and I don't think she's got any yet.
No.
Every time at finals, she always approaches them, and she hasn't got any yet. So, Nottingham Honey Badgers, if any of you are listening, get in contact. Like some merch. I'm sure it's on one of the two football team stores. See what I did there? I'm not going to plug.
Oh, I like what you're doing there. Feral creatures, though. Let's not upset them. The honey badger is it's not just a silly name. It's a very feral, great animal. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Kiwi's never going to get out if I don't show. Honey badgers do love it.
Yeah, I was just going to say it probably suits Kiwi, to be fair. Anyway,
and they're not called Nuneaton Jaguars. They're not the Jaguars. Is it not like?
It is if you want to say in an American, in an American accent, yes. However, I'm going to put it out there that I am also a very fond lover of rugby and have played rugby for quite a while. So there are also the Jaguares. So you can say, Argentinian rugby team. So you can call them that if you wanted to mix it up. Anyway, let's not overshadow Waveney Wolves as well, who are obviously. So I think in terms of this conference, I'll quickly touch on it. I think in terms of this conference, Waveney Wolves have been a solid team for years, and I think that the Nomads, I think there's a bit of movement between them two teams in terms of players, and think they struggled a little bit with that change, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there's anyone from Waveney that wants to correct me, please do. I'm not saying that as fact. That is my interpretation of last year, I think. So I think they should still be a strong team. But I mean, Nottingham Bears, Nottingham Honey Badgers, Leighton Jaguares, Jaguars or Jaguars in my northern
Jaguars.
Yeah. I think they're all solid teams. You can't rule out the Panthers B and the Huntsmen B either. So I think that's a really tight conference.
Competitive. It is competitive.
Yeah.
That's a competitive conference. Possibly the most competitive of the ones that we've looked at so far in terms of it's very difficult to call. That's a difficult one,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Badgers,
moving
I think,
on.
Yeah.
I think Badgers. I do.
Yeah.
Honey Badgers. Let's get it right. Honey Badgers. Very different to normal Badgers.
Yeah. Very feral. Okay. Feral, as opposed to mainly by the side of the road. Come a cropper by the hands of a farmer, potentially.
Yeah.
Anyway, right,
and also very sweet.
To eat. Have you eaten a honey badger? Right, sorry,
No, but if they eat honey, then surely they are.
Oh, that's like, yeah. So no animals have been hurt in this experiment until now, and now I feel the strange urge to dissect a honey badger and eat its innards. But let's move on, please. This is weird.
Right, come on. Division 1 Southern East. Berkshire Renegades, Buckinghamshire Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Let's get that going right. Isle of Wight Raptors. Kent
Historically
Exiles. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll touch on that. We'll come back to that. Kent Exiles, new team.
Mm-hmm.
London Blitz, new team. Is that right? Pretty sure they are. London Rebels B, and then Salisbury City Marauders, who have been in there. They've been playing for quite a good number of years now, haven't they? The only reason why I know that is because they used to have really cool trophies that with the same colour scheme as my Cheshire Bears in the Women's Contact League. And I think we copied them and actually got some trophies from the same supplier as them when we saw them. So I know the Salisbury City Marauders have been going for a few years. But go on, give me your historically interesting fact then.
No, it's archaeologically interesting. It's just I like the name. I think that's great. I love when people pick names that are actually relevant. I love that. Like when there's a lot of people wanting to come up with daft names and we formed, and I was like, no, the only thing that's practically famous about Carlisle is Hadrian's Wall. If you don't call yourself the Romans, the Centurions, then there is nothing else really. Right? No, I like that, and that was my point. I'm sorry to be pathetic, but I do get hung up with these things,
I like it. I do like it, and there's quite a few historically referenced or historical references there.
But that doesn't help. It doesn't help you do a podcast where you're trying to record it and you're already running at 58 minutes. And you're thinking Nick Weston shot.
No, it certainly doesn't. But I don't think you're alone on the amount of time that we've been running over. I don't think you're entirely.
I don't think you're alone in telling me to shut up. I think there's probably about 5 other people there right now. But just give us that. I've been listening to this for an hour. Just mention my club. And then Blitz. Wow, is that the London Blitz? Like the contact team? Have they morphed in a flag team?
Yep. And Kent Exiles. Wow. Kent Exiles are a strong contact team as well.
There are lots and lots of personal fouls in that first game. You can almost see the flags flying. You're like, what do you mean that's a tackle? It's like, great.
Yeah.
Okay, not upset then.
But this is what we want for the growth of flag, don't we? I mean, it was inevitable it was going to happen once it became an Olympic sport, etc., etc. But this is how we have this. We get this legacy, for the Olympic sports by growing the flag game. So whilst it's a nightmare for you and I to cover, and the amount of teams and the amount of time on the podcast, and God help us when we get to the results and we're talking through all the results and such. We may have to figure out a bit of a format there where we get to, but this is why, because teams like Kent Exiles, teams like London Blitz and others are, starting to copy that model where they have got multi-format teams, which is great. And there's a few teams that we should give a shout out. I'm not going to because I'm sure I'll miss someone out. There's a few teams that have been doing this for years and play to them. They're the people who set the precedent. But now it's all changed. and I'll move on because we've got one more conference, and then I still need to talk about playoffs, and then we still need to talk about the fixtures. So the fixtures shouldn't take too long. We're on an hour.
I pause and go to the toilet. If I was listening right now, I'd go, quickly breathe, just get a cup of coffee, because this is where it gets really good now. I mean, in all fairness, we're actually getting into real football shortly. So this has been an hors d'oeuvre, you know.
It's a bloody big hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I got starting like that. Like, carry on. Let's go. Come on. Sorry, that's right.
Division 1, Southern West. So this is the final conference of Division 1. No, by no means the least, but in terms of geographically, it is the last one that I've got to on my graphic. So Cardiff Bay Coyotes, Exeter Falcons, Gwent Gators, Keynsham Kings, Rhondda Red Kites, and Swansea Frenzy. So I think only Rhondda Red Kites are a new team in this, aren't they?
Yeah. It's good teams in there, mate.
Well, do you know what? I'm looking at it, as I'm reading it out, I'm thinking there are some really good teams that have probably fallen by the wayside a little bit, but they are solid. I mean, Gwent Gators, Keynsham Kings, even Exeter Falcons, you know, and then you've obviously got the B teams of two other strong teams in there. And they
good teams
just
in there.
Top it off, you've got the Rhondda Red Kite.
Yeah, I think that's a division to watch. There's going to be somebody coming through there who's going to trail a blaze, you know, in the direction of the finals, and also potentially with Cardiff Bay Coyotes having some of the best social media of any club. Follow them before the season starts. Two people you need to follow, right? Calderdale Locomotives and Cardiff Bay Coyote. Their social media stories are hilarious. I mean, it's like literally. Yeah,
I will have a look. I think we do on the Inside Britball account anyway. But I will have a look at my personal account as well. But yeah, so that is definitely one to watch. Quickly moving on to the playoff structure. So the playoff structure is the top 8 teams in the north, so the northern half, and the top 8 teams in the southern half will play in a semi-final mashup. God knows how that's going to go, because that's a lot of games. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding when the fixtures and the alignments was initially announced. Whether that's changed or not, I'm not sure.
So is that like 2 wild cards then in the south? It's like, because you've got an 8 and an 8, right? So you've got the top 2 and the 4 in the north, right?
Yeah.
And then the top, and then 2 wild cards. Wow, South's going to be really cool.
So the wording on it was pretty much the top 8 teams in each regional pair, like coupling. It's not quite coupling. It's more than 2, but we'll go through. So my assumption is that obviously all the Highland and the 3 Northern are one coupling, and then these are the others. So that's my understanding. So then they'll play the semis, then the top 2 in each regional will qualify for final. So again, only 4 going to Coventry.
Wow.
So, but I think when you add up the Premiership, when you add up the National, which is the top tier, and you add up the Division 1, and you're getting the top 4 teams of each of them going to Butts Park, I think actually, so my worry with all this changes in terms of the playoff structure is that Flag is very much a festival feel, festival vibe. And I really like that. Now, don't get me wrong, the top tier division, was it Prem? It was Prem, wasn't it? That was always a bit more serious. So the teams were a bit more serious, no less of a festival vibe. But I think when you then had the Division 1s, it was all like party time, pretty much party time, which I really, really enjoyed. So when they first announced this, I was worried that they was going to ruin that for Flag. But the more I think about it, the more I think now, the amount of teams that you're actually going to have at Butts Park, and let's be honest, Butts Park is a stadium. It's really good facilities, and I think it might actually be pretty good. Is it central? No, it's absolutely not. It might be in the Midlands, but we're talking the Midlands of England here. We're not talking the middle of Great Britain. Manchester is pretty much. It's a little bit further south than the middle of Great Britain, but it's pretty much the middle of Great Britain.
It's more central. Yeah, it's more central.
Yeah.
But when you've got teams in Aberdeen and Moray,
yeah. But I'm going to put it out there. If you and your team get to a final, you want to go to somewhere great. So, you think about, you always used to have, the FA Cup final at Wembley, or you'd always have, the Scottish FA Cup in Hampton, and things like that. So you got to have something to look forward to. And it doesn't necessarily matter where you travel in theory, but it does impact the game, as we've highlighted when we're talking about Victoria.
Yeah.
So we've got to mention that. But I do think, actually, my initial thoughts were, you've ruined it. You've ruined the essence of flag and the vibes and the feel. But actually, the more I think about it, I don't think they have. Only time will tell, I think. Only when we get there and we see how it pans out, how it's organised, how it's structured, etc., etc. I think only then will we know whether it was the right move or not.
I kind of agree with your initial thought, though, because I do think when you have a lot of teams and a lot going on, there's so much of a buzz, there's so much excitement. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're the wild card team and you've got an 8 o'clock in the morning game in Manchester and you've travelled from London or the back and beyond, there's no joy in that, all right? There's no joy in that, but because it is too busy, let's be honest. But it takes a lot of the pressure out of the games and makes it more about the event and the day. When you're going to one place, to a great stadium, to have an intense locked-in game against 1-2 other teams on that day, then you best believe you're not going to be refereeing that game, because that is going to be feisty. It's going to be intense. It's going to be pressure. That's going to be... And does that overtake the festival at the Spank? Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. I mean, no, it should be competitive, don't get me wrong. And it should be about, best on best and getting to that final. However, those games have the possibility to be quite intense. And I think what we have seen with refereeing down the years is that it can be a little off. And if you put a little bit off refereeing in a very intense game, it's not always a great advert for your sport.
Yeah.
That's all I would say.
Well, let's see. I think that is definitely one that we're going to have to see and see how it pans out. But it's an interesting change.
It is interesting, but it might be great. And you know what? I think the idea of playing in the stadium, like that, and a venue like that is always a good thing. I think the game is growing. We're not jumpers for goalposts mentality anymore, are we? I mean, this is an Olympic sport. We need to, Union Jacks and all that, things have changed, things have moved on, and this is a natural evolution. I completely get that. It's just, will it lose its vibe? Yes. Will it be a more competitive game? Yeah. Will it be as much fun? To be discovered. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, final bit of the show. We're on 1 hour and 8 minutes, so we will talk through this relatively promptly, and mainly because there wasn't actually that many games, Nick.
Well, no, there wasn't. In fact, we only have to talk about 16% of the original amount of teams that should have been playing on that day. 15.9% of Division 1 on opening day of the season played. 84% did not play. And of that 15.9%, sorry, I'm doing an injustice there. Of that 15.9% that did play, 33% of the games were called off because of weather. So we have a sweet spot of 2/3 of a 60% of Division 1 to talk about. So come on, we can do this. This is only about 2 seconds worth of football.
So for everyone tuning in, either whether they're listening or
cat's out of the bag. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. No. I'm just elaborating. It wasn't necessarily just rain. There was lightning in the area, and so therefore, rightly so, player safety, coach safety, people safety. That was always the right call because they are the priority. So, but you are right in that there's very little to talk through. So, what I'm going to do is we've obviously got the graphic on the screen. I think I'm going to summarize my thoughts on this, and I'll let you delve in a bit more. So I'll try and be very top line.
Yeah.
Don't feel
be objective.
So, okay, Moray Distillers. So they are, as I've mentioned, I think I said that off. Did I say we're talking through the alignments? They are my Scottish team.
Off there.
They're not
off there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Off air. They're not
Yeah.
literally my Scottish team. They are. I have Scottish family, and that's where, or they were very near a little fishing village called Flinthorn. So I used to go up there quite a lot, but I haven't been up there for a good number of years. So I always look for their results. They had to travel down to West Lothian Astros, who were hosting, for one game.
Yeah,
but that one game, they won 48-25 against Glasgow Club Bees. So that is a cracking result for me.
Who did not look bad at all in that day either. This is a good result against a good team. Yeah.
And then Silvercats 2 from 2. Have I got that right? With 1 postponed. Killer Bees, bit of a mixed day because obviously the aforementioned lost to the Distillers, but then they won 49-0 over the new team, West Lothian Astros.
The home team as well.
Yeah, home team, yeah. Colts, very slow start. Very slow start to the season, I think. And then what else have we got? We were denied showdowns in the Edinburgh Derby. So Edinburgh Gunslingers Red versus Edinburgh Gunslingers Blue was postponed due to the weather, and so was Silvercats versus Killer Bees. So I think for this, just for the listener, because we do this a lot, or I do this a lot, I'm going to talk through the scores and then I'll hand over to you, Nick, if that's okay. So Aberdeen Silvercats versus Glasgow Killer Bees, as I mentioned, was postponed. Edinburgh Gunslingers Red beat Grangemouth Colts 26-0. Glasgow Killer Bees beat West Lothian Astros 49-0. West Lothian Astros then lost again, unfortunately, to Edinburgh Gunslingers Blue 14-0. Edinburgh Gunslingers Red lost to Aberdeen Silvercats 33-20 points. Glasgow Killer Bees, again, as mentioned, lost to the Moray Distillers 48-25. So that's convincing in terms of the scoreline, at least. Aberdeen Silvercats then beat Grangemouth Colts with a whopping 53-14. Edinburgh Gunslingers Blue and Edinburgh Gunslingers Red postponed. West Lothian Astros versus Moray Distillers postponed. Nick, over to you.
Right, okay, we'll come back to that Moray point straight away. Moray out of the blocks. Moray looked really good. They would have been sorely disappointed at those weather conditions that day, because when you're on fire and you've made that big journey, I mean, we worked out before the podcast. If they had an environmentally friendly team and came on bicycles, that's a 15-hour bicycle ride, or 3 hours and 45 minutes by car. Either way you look at it, that's a 5-hour journey by the time you stop in those roads. That's a long way to come, for a rain off. Now, okay, but they look very good, and I've seen them play before. They're a great team. We played against them. I said to you, they're one of those teams that will go for it in the first down. I'd like to maybe check in with the Killer Bees and just see if that's what they did. First down, first play. They're one of those teams who they open the game up straight away. And I love that. They just go straight on the attack. And that sets the whole tempo. So I'm going to call that out. Killer Bees, though, with all respect, irrespective of the fact that West Lothian Astros are a new team, they're a well-coached team. They come from a good stable, good organisation. That's a great start for the Killer Bees up until stumbling there. And equally to the Edinburgh teams, that would have been a great game if they had a chance to play each other, because they both look like they were being quite handy. Aberdeen Silvercats are a good side, not to be slept on. But I think with the way that Red and Blue both had a win in the day coming into it as well, they are a nightmare for graphics for the viewer. You can see what I mean. That's straight up 26 characters, including 2 spaces, if you try and put Edinburgh Gunslingers Blue onto a tab. Put that in your football. Nobody's going to nick it. I think, but for me, I look at those fixtures, and if we want to talk about the day and the weather and seeing games postponed this early on, and then what that throws up in terms of how the league can rule on it. There was a heavy discussion later on that evening in the referee chat about the competition rules, saying that teams can within 14 days come to some sort of compromise about restructuring a game day, but then the league still has to weigh in it. And when you've already lost a game day somewhere and you get compressed schedules, these things become a nightmare. I've seen us. We lost the division on this 2 years ago because we didn't get to play 2 games or postponed And the Serpents managed to flatline out with us at the end of the year, and they won because of the virtue of 2 games that we didn't get a chance to play. So, I mean, this thing can become very, very tense as a result of it. I'm sure the next couple of weeks are going to be a lot of phone calls, a lot of pressures. But I am going to just say straight out of the gate that I think Moray, if they can come all that way, they can put up that game. Then, and in the wet too. Let's remember, these games were called off because of rain. Killarney scored 49 points. Moray scoring 48 points. Aberdeen Silvercats put off 52 points. You're not running that football, to get those kind of scores. Yeah, there's probably a lot of picks in that, no doubt about it. Bad weather, you're going to get bad passes. But all the same, that's aerial football, okay? And that's good football in terms of scores. I think for me, looking at that on paper, teams to the north, very dominant. Moray and Aberdeen going to look very good. Would love to have seen Edinburgh against each other to figure out who was who, and that. That's my take. I think it's a great division, though. I think it's a great division for conference, should I say? But yeah,
absolutely. And on that cloudy note of yeah, no, that's not good, is it? That's again that Kiwi would say that's a dad joke. Anyway. On that cloudy note, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to own it. Doubling down. We will wrap up the podcast. As always, Nick, thank you very much for your time. Thank you to the listeners and viewers if you've managed to stick with us for an hour and 16 minutes. We do appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Inside Britball on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to follow us on our socials. Until the next games are played, I'm sure there's a lot of water to go under the bridge. Again, reference there before then. So we will, don't forget to tune in then. Thank you very much.